Bali is probably the most popular tourist destination if you think about a holiday in Indonesia. It's got the right mix of everything: great culture, beautiful temples, and the coolest places to party. But if you go further east, there's an even richer experience, and it doesn't burn a big hole in your pocket. So, here are some notes from four epic and different adventures that await when you venture beyond Bali. Just an hour away by flight from Bali is the small but fast growing Labuan Bajo. Once known as a sleepy fishing town, now it's a thriving tourist center for people in search of underwater adventures. LBJ, as they call it fondly, has a great vibe of its own. And thanks to the folks at Uber Scuba, we got one of the best diving experiences ever. They've got something for everyone: a discover dive, fun dives, a full certification course, or you can even live on a boat for a couple of days. But the real kicker, of course, is what you see below the surreal blue waters. Vibrant corals, fish of every size and color, curious sea turtles, incredibly shy mini sharks, and the majestic manta rays. If you want to stay a bit dry, LBJ still has you covered. Just hop on a boat and sail to Padar Island. There's a short but brisk scenic hike that offers jaw-dropping views. It gets a bit hot and sweaty here, so make sure you keep your shades and hat handy. If you take one of the combo packages for the trip, you get to see two other great places: the famous Pink Beach, where you can snorkel for a few minutes or just keep staring at the beautiful sand, which apparently gets its color from bits of corals. And of course, Komodo National Park, home to the most famous dragon that eats these big deer and pretty much everything else, including humans. But don't worry, the rangers here look like they can fend off anything with those long sticks. Yeah, it's awesome, take our word for it. Before we get to the next part of the video, here's a little something for your geography and history nerds. Our whole story east of Bali takes place entirely on this big island called Flores, whose people are mostly Roman Catholic in a country that is majority Muslim. All through the journey from the westernmost point to the heart of this region, it felt like this was a part of Goa, with all those hidden beaches, the hilly terrains here and there, the beautiful food shacks, the charming churches, and the unhurried pace of life. Now, back to our travel adventures. Our next stop was a 45-minute flight from LBJ to this quaint little town called Maumere, which is known for having suffered a devastating earthquake and tsunami back in 1992. But it was just a pit stop for us before we took a long drive down south through rural Flores, edging along beaches with black sands and beautiful blue pebbles. After many hours, we finally entered the pretty little village of Moni, which is the base for the Kelimutu volcano trek. This adventure starts very early in the morning, way before daybreak, because we're told that the sunrise reveals a nice surprise. It takes an hour's drive to the entrance of a national park, then it's time for a 30-minute walk through cold and fog before we reach the summit. And just wait patiently for the skies to clear. It turns out to be a long wait, and the clouds just don't seem like they want to move. But they do eventually, and the payoff is finally here. 3 spectacular lakes of different colors in the volcanic craters reveal themselves, and it's impossible to take your eyes off them as the mist floats off their surfaces. Mount Kelimutu last erupted in 1968, when the lakes are said to have changed to their current colors. The locals have always considered these waters sacred for as long as they can remember, and it's easy to imagine why. One of the more curious things on our list was an ancient village that supposedly dates back over 1,000 years. Located about 5 hours west of Mount Kelimutu is the traditional village of Bena. Home to about 700 people from 9 local tribes who believe that God sits on the volcanic Mount Inari and watches over them. Most of the tribal people today are practically Roman Catholics, but they've kept ancient customs intact. There are about 45 houses made of bamboo and thatched roofs are on the outer side of a central piece of land. The women are mostly engaged in weaving and have some signature batik shawls on sale. The animal bones proudly displayed outside homes are a sign of status. The central portions of the village are left empty except for symbolic structures that pay homage to their ancestors and clans. This space today, however, functions mostly as a playground for football crazy kids. But we get the feeling that most of them seem to be here only for tourists during the day and return to the comfort of more modern homes just outside the village once the sun sets. but it's worth a visit just to see a slice of a forgotten past frozen in time. Now, obviously, there's so much more to explore on this island alone, and we simply did not have the time. What we stumbled upon itself in this little part was just mind blowing. Sometimes we just decided to kick back and soak up the slow life somewhere in the middle of Flores. It wasn't all about crazy adventures every single minute. But it did give us this tiny peek into the enormously colorful and diverse world that is Indonesia.